Hey! Hey, it's Evan here with the Tactical RPG Odyssey take on the new project. No, it's not project anymore. Just Triangle Strategy Prologue demo. We're going to talk about a few thoughts. A lot of the stuff we can cover just by saying watch the first demo coverage I did last year. Most of the gameplay stuff is unchanged. They added a few new things and hinted at a few things, and we'll get to that in a second. But just a story recap. The first demo took place around chapter 5 or 8, I can't remember, but much further along in the story. So there's some big spoilers there. So I won't go into it, but it's already in a demo, so it kind of poisoned the well a little bit in terms of, they're like, why are you being so pessimistic about this treaty? I'm like, I kind of know some things. But anyway, you are Sarah Noah, I think, let's see, the Lord of Wolfort, and you've got your group of different supporting people like Benedict, who is your intellectual anime character with glasses, always my favorite. You know, you've got Ziri from Valkyria Chronicles 2, that type of person, Ignis from 15. You are introduced to some of the other characters we see in the first demo too. Eridor is kind of your big blustering master-at-arms type guy. And then you've got Frederica, who's your bride-to-be. The first battle mission takes you to her ship. She's let her guards go back and didn't think that one through, so they got ambushed by bandits. So it's a good first battle, very easy, kind of introduces a lot of the core concepts. So back attacks are really important because you can always crit, which is really good. And again, I covered a lot of this, so I'll be repeating myself from that first demo, but just in case you don't care to watch that, because I only have audio on one side of the mic for some reason. I'll split it up in this one, don't worry. But anyway, so you've got the back attacks, which are pretty important. And then you've got, what else? I don't know if it has to do with the triangle part, but if you attack somebody, I thought it was only a melee, but it works for arrows as well, so I guess any physical attack, if you have on the opposite side of the unit you're attacking another one of your units, you do a little combo. Again, same as the first demo, but it's not something I've seen in too many other tactical RPGs, so pretty useful, pretty interesting. The actual triangle part, I think, has more to do with the story. So you've got 3 different kingdoms, and Glenbrook is the one I believe you belong to, even though for some reason I thought it was Ace Frost. But that's what your bride-to-be, she's from Ace Frost, or Frosties. Then you got, so Glenbrook is you guys control, I guess, the channels, the distribution network. And then Iron is Salt Iron. The war is known as the Salt Iron War. You've got Ace Frost is in charge of the iron. That's their kind of supply chain. And then you've got the Hyzanth, the holy city or whatever of Hyzanth, which controls the salt. So that's the triangle, essentially, is that. Spoilers, again, if you've played through the first demo, because you kind of know where it's going to go, but the way it starts off is that your marriage is kind of this political treaty type thing to smooth over some past indiscretions from a war 30 years ago. So your wife is kind of a lesser princess of Ace Frost. She's a half-sister of the main ones because her mom was a concubine of Rosellen, I think I'm saying that right, descent. So each fantasy world has to have their own persecuted race, and this one's pretty funny because it's like, oh my god, she's got pink hair, how fucking disgusting. It's like, oh, her hair's pink, like, what? Okay. we're supposed to think that's real bad, but in this world it is, okay. And so, like, for instance, the Hyzanth, which I chose to go visit them, you get a choice later on, we'll get to that too. the Byzantian people are like, oh, Rosellans, you know, they're like a persecuted race there because apparently their race did something horrible. Kind of, again, reminds me of what were they called in Valkyria Chronicles. I don't remember. But same sort of thing. I mean, it's like wink, wink, Jewish, wink, wink, you know. But each kingdom is kind of based roughly on, I'd say, a real-world analog. So the easiest one, I guess, would be Ace Frost. Definitely seems like it's supposed to be America, because when you get more information about it, they're like, hey, they value freedom above all else. It's like, oh, okay. And then they talk about how they're real racist as well. So I'm like, huh, freedom and racism, ringing some bells. And then Salt seems, at first, seems very Middle Eastern, because I think the salt's more like an oil kind of metaphor. I could be reaching here, but they've got a very strict religious thing going on where if you don't follow their rules, you're not going to have a fun time in Hyzant. And they're pretty cloistered in their city as well. Glenbrook's a little harder to say. I would lean towards Britain, UK type of thing, because they're still a monarchy and it's still like a bloodline, and they seem to think they're like, oh, we're kind of we're doing a little bit better than the rest of them. You know, those Ace Frosty upstarts, with their freedom and lawlessness, we've got a little bit more stability in our system. But let's get back to some of the fighting mechanics. I've got my notes here, so you'll see me peeking down. Oh, real quick, let's touch on the conviction system. So we might have seen a little bit of this in the first demo. I don't remember talking about it. But you've got the conviction system, which separates it into, so you've got the 3 dialogue choices. So it's not like Mass Effect where you've got good, bad, Paragon, whatever, Renegade. And it's not like a obvious system with morality. You've got unity, morality, and liberty. So unity, I guess, is to make everybody feel we're all good. Morality is like, oh, this is the way you should do things. And then liberty is like, you do what you want. So, and I think each, if you think about it, so liberty seems more like a Frosty. I'm going to keep calling it a Frosties. I don't know if that's how you say it. Because, again, freedom. Morality seems more like the gods' teaching of Hyzantia or whatever. And then unity seems closer to Glenbrook. And then it says in the little tutorial box, decisions will shape Serenoa's conviction as well as influence which companions may choose to join his cause. So this is something that's both cool and also like, so now I'm going to have to worry about every single decision. I might lose some cool party member in the future and I won't know it. Again, I touched on this on the first one, but hopefully there is a system where you can go back and say, hey, can I just try this out a different way rather than having to play through the entire game again? Or a new game plus that's really easy. I don't know. We'll find out. So the first battle, like I said, you're going against Travis, the Bandit King, and his daughter Trish. So you've got these 2 daughters. I chose the Liberty question where you're just like, are you 2 related? I thought I would throw them off with just a random question. And it didn't really work. We still fought, which I was hoping because I want to level up. By the way, you're capped at level 5 in this demo, and you can only get to Chapter 3, or a point in Chapter 3. Which Chapter 3 is divided into multiple parts, so I can't remember if it's right after the first part or not. But they introduce you to Benedict's aptitudes in battle. So he's a support class. You've got abilities that eventually will alter the turn order. So you can see the turn order at the bottom, which is very handy. I don't think they had that in the first one, but they might have. First demo. You've got Frederica, your bride-to-be. She's a pyromancer. You have Gila, who's her kind of right-hand woman. She's the healer. So nothing too crazy so far. There's not that many classes that are that interesting or different, except for maybe the Archer, Bird Lady, like Hawk Rider, I think is what they are. They go over other things, back attacks, like I said, height advantage. Another thing to touch on is every time you do something, that the game likes, like get a back attack or attack from higher ground. Essentially, you're rewarded for playing the game smart. You get what's called kudos, which are an alternate form of currency that's eventually in your little encampment. So between battles, there's this encampment that you can go to that has like an item shop, kind of a blacksmith where you can upgrade your gear, and eventually some other stuff like a barkeep that you can do mental missions, which are essentially practice missions, but you still get experience and some reward stuff for that. And then there's what is the name of it? So the place where you can actually trade, the Sundry Shop, I think it's called, is where you can trade the kudos in for different pieces of lore, and also I think they're called quietuses. So they're like one time in the battle abilities. I haven't actually got to use one. I got one right before the demo ended, and I never went back to try it. But apparently it's like a one-time thing, like, oh, one time during the battle you can heal for 50% and cure all status ailments. Or there's another one that is like, you can make this unit automatically crit one time. But it's kind of like a use it and then that's it for the battle. So use it carefully type of thing. And then they kind of go over all the different indicators. So the red lines are very interesting. We talked about that in the first demo about the systems. That indicates like enemies that can attack you. Again, color coding how the game works for people who aren't as used to just like trying to memorize and like think about every single thing an enemy can do. It makes it a lot very streamlined. You've got blue panels, which is where you can walk to in your movement range where you cannot be attacked next turn by an enemy. You're not within their range. Purple is somewhere you can move, but you could be attacked. Turn in the page. Subtle transition. And oh yeah, so in red panels are your attack range, and yellow is the area of effect for your command. So if you have an AoE attack like the Pyromancer, your bride-to-be Frederica, she can hit with Scorch, her fire attack, kind of a nice cross pattern like a regular magic attack in Final Fantasy Tactics. I like Final Fantasy Tactics, in case you didn't know. Speaking of Final Fantasy, one of the first battle themes does remind me of Final Fantasy, but not the one you're thinking. Owen Palette, check him out. There's some similarities there. Abilities consume TP. They don't actually say what TP is, I don't think, in the game, but triangle points. We're going to assume triangle points. Spoil, so yeah, similar to Tactics. You've got when the enemy unit dies, they can drop spoils. And so if you collect those, you get them. If the enemy collects them, they get them. So you want to prioritize that. So that's another little wrinkle. But there's also something called, I think, exquisite spoils. So those are automatically acquired. So I think those are more story mission type things. So I got them more when I was beating like a higher level enemy. And then bam, they're nice little pretty chests. And you can't use the spoils until after you win, so that's important. So you can't like get a potion and then use it. You have to have it in your inventory at the beginning of the battle. And then, just like Tactics, you get, well, not just, we'll get to that. Ooh. You get, sorry, hit the tripod. You get experience after each action, not at the end of the battle or when you just kill somebody. And I even saw where I failed to pull off attack, it missed, and I still got experience, though I don't think I got as much. So, again, you always want to be doing something, even if it's just healing a tiny bit, because you're getting experience each time. Follow-up attack, we talked about that. Oh, the magic doesn't hit your party members. So in Tactics, you had to be careful about that placement, because if you did an AoE magic attack, you could hit your own guys. With this one, it avoids them, which I both like and dislike. Like, if you're a wizard, you think you'd have enough control to be like, well, not that tile, because my friend's there. So, but at the same time, I feel like it makes it a little easy. I don't know. It's good. It's different. There's also, let's see, some other musical tracks I want to highlight. Because at first the music, I'm like, this is whatever. This is just kind of generic fantasy, trying to sound like Hitoshi Sakamoto, but not quite hitting the mark for me. But there was a few tracks I really liked. There's one that reminded me quite a bit of the melee in between stages when you're like healing. It sounded very similar to that, almost suspiciously. And then there's another kind of battle theme that sounded a lot like a upbeat Evangelion theme, so I'll highlight those here. And so we went over kudos. Let's see. Roland is your best friend, so he kind of helps in that first battle. They don't reveal who he is at first. So he's the youngest son of the Glenbrook King Regna. And so you guys have been kind of buddies from the beginning. So kind of a Ramza Delita, except instead of Delita, you're still a higher lord. You know, you're not a commoner. But he's the prince. Next page of notes. Bear with me. I wrote a lot of notes. This was a long demo. The first one I didn't think was this long, but I looked back at my notes and that was about 5 hours. This one's about 5 hours if you wait for the music to loop like I did as well. And so, there's a great line where they say, who could have known that this was a prelude to war, you know, talking about the treaty. So the basis of it is that we've got this treaty accord, whatever, signed with the other nations for this mining agreement. We've discovered this new, I think it's the Great Norzelia Mines or something. And so we're all working on it. We're all going to benefit from it. It's been 30 years since the Salt Iron War, and this is kind of the first us patching it together for realsies. And so there's just a lot of conversations during the demo which are like, yeah, no, this is all good. Nothing bad's going to happen. Sure hope nothing bad's going to happen. And they're like, what do you think about it? And I'm like, I think something bad's going to happen. Oh, God. My chair almost fell over. I'm on a stool on a couch, so it's a little dangerous. So yeah, there's it kind of, again, I'm going to keep talking about Final Fantasy Tactics as much as possible. But the way that game kind of drops you in the middle at the beginning as a flashback, well, it starts and then you have a flashback. This game, the demo almost works the same way, because the first demo drops you in like chapter 5 or 8, when all the bad shit's gone down, or is just about to go down. And this demo is like the flashback almost, sort of. I don't know, think about it. And then, let's see, they introduce you to Roland, top brother, his oldest brother, Franny. He's got a sister, Cornelia, or something like that. Again, if you don't want spoilers, don't watch the first, well, you shouldn't be watching this video, obviously, but don't watch the first demo, because there's some big spoilers of what happens to some of those people. Okay. We're introduced to Erica and Thalos of the Efrosti ruling family, Huette, Eridor, we already talked about, Anna, who's pretty cool because she's the thief type character, rogue type character who can do 2 actions in 1 turn, which again is kind of broken but pretty awesome. So story-wise, it starts off with you rescuing your bride-to-be from the bandits, and then it's all about kind of planning your wedding. But then that never goes off because you get busy with other things. Your dad is sick. He kind of steps down. There's a great word for it, abdicates. There you go. Gotta love that word, abdicate. He abdicates his position, so now you're Lord Wolfort. And so now you've got a lot of responsibilities. They've got all these people from the other kingdoms coming to meet with King Regna, who's your direct king. Just kind of having a tourney. Yeah. So a little battle. So again, a lot of Game of Thrones type scenarios here. So you've got all these different people coming together for a tourney. And you've got Sir Maxwell, the Dawnbringer, something like that. So in your kingdom, he's like the strongest spear dude. I don't remember the names of the other people from the other kingdoms, but you've got the guy with the cool lightning sword from the Byzantian kingdom, and you've got my personal crush, Avalor, I think is her name. Avlora, there you go. The really kind of huge woman from Frosty. She's very hot, and I hope we get her in my party. Next page. So yeah, Sir Maxwell the Dawnspear, Lord Simon or whatever, who's your dad. So he's the one who steps down, and then you've got Chapter 2. So This is when you're introduced to Layla, something like that. She is the kind of envoy from Hyzantia. She makes things real awkward because she's, I don't know, kind of clutching her pearls when you talk about religion, her religion at all, and the SALT agreement. But then she reveals later that she's like, yeah, no, I kind of understand why you guys are pissed off at us. Because apparently Hyzantia, or Hyzant, whatever, has had kind of a chokehold on the SALT distribution, and that has put them in a precarious position politically. Say that 5 times fast. Another thing I'd like to highlight, I highlighted in the first demo review, the exploration in this game, I love it. I love just being able to dick around in these environments, find little treasures, talk to the people, build up information. It does seem very sectioned off, right? I mean, you've got very strict separation between you've got a battle, you've got exploration, you've got these conviction things where you convince your party members or don't to do a decision. It doesn't flow beautifully. It's very, again, separate. But I don't know any other way you would be able to do it, so whatever. And then Lord Dragan, so he is the cousin, yes, to Frederica. And he's the best voiced actor,
Those who make it
by the way.
will mark their names in history.
Roll the clip.
And mine will be written large for all to see!
So scales of conviction, the way they work, and you see this in the first demo as well, is that you get to go to 7 of your most trusted advisors. They each have a coin or something, and you can convince them or not convince them depending on what you want, if you have certain information. So during the exploration bits, you get to go around to people and say, hey, what's this? Oh, there's a medical place in there? Okay, cool. And then when somebody's like, oh, why would we want to go there? You can say, well, they got a medical place. That's pretty cool, right? And so you get to go and kind of, you're getting to decide where your whole party gets to go, but under the guise of, oh, we're all deciding. But you're really deciding, depending on how much work you do. And this is where, after that, I believe we unlock the smithy at the encampment. So again, the encampment is a place you can go before battles, between battles, and load up on items. But you can also, once you have the smith, upgrade your weapons with materials. But the way the materials are rationed out, I think, is kind of interesting, kind of smart, because it keeps you from grinding into oblivion, and the level cap at 5. But the way this works is you can only buy so much material, and you need that material to upgrade your abilities in your weapons. So you can't just like upgrade everything if you just, the mental missions where you can just practice and gain experience. You're not also gaining enough money. And it doesn't matter if you have enough money because there's not enough material, enough iron, whatever, to get everybody maxed out. And then they also show off the same place, the sundry shop, that, all from memory here, please be impressed. In the sundry shop, you can also use, I think, a mixture of kudos and money. Eventually, once you hit certain levels, I think level 10 is the first one, to upgrade your actual job class. Doesn't seem like you're able to change classes, but like, for instance, you go from like a sword swinger to a sword master. I mean, it's not that. I just can't remember the names, but it's good to know that there's a good bit of progression here, even if it's not going to be as complex or comprehensive as Final Fantasy Tactics. Last page, okay, guys? I've been going for a bit, I'm sorry. So Chapter 3, Part 1, this is where they introduce the Quietuses, but they don't actually give you one. Again, I was able to buy one, but these are the abilities that use QP, so Quietuses, Pointsuses. You can use one per battle, so this is going to be another fun thing to explore once the full game is ready. And that's about it. I was just going to kind of rant for a second about what I'm excited for. At first, and the first demo made me feel this way, and the first 30 minutes of this demo made me feel this way. I was just like, I don't like the story in this game very much. Just the setup and everything, and the dialogue, and the voice acting. I was like, this isn't this isn't Final Fantasy Tactics. But once I got over that initial hump, I'm like, this doesn't need to be Final Fantasy Tactics. Taking it on its own merits, knowing that this is a more broad story, that they're not trying to have as dark of a tone, it's still really good. It's really, really good.
I thank you for the escort.
You know, I was worried.
Free to go.
There are still some voice actors I don't love, but overall, the way the story's developing, the way they're introducing the characters, and there's still lots of time where there could be a big twist and things could get a lot darker. Again, that first demo, things do get a lot darker, but still, even in Tactics, in the lightest moments, it was never as light as some of the moments in this game, or demos so far. And then, yeah, I'm just loving the battle. I mean, it's been a while since I've played a new tactical RPG. I'm used to playing older tactical RPGs, so just like, oh, new tactical RPGs, it looks fucking gorgeous. Just the little effects, the HD 2D stuff is got me like, you know, not to be too graphic, but like a boner. I've got a graphics boner going on. That's why I have the camera up above my waist. But aside from that, I just can't wait for this game to come out. I mean, I'm too busy with Final Fantasy XI right now, but I'm gonna have to put that down for a while because I need to play this game. I really wish I could play more of this game right now. It's in my head now. Woo! So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe. I will be, as soon as it comes out, blasting through it and putting up a real review, not just a demo review. And if you like tactical RPG coverage, watch my other videos. Most of them aren't good, but you know, if you like tactical RPGs enough. Who else is covering Cartia? Nobody but me. So, and also, if you're in the mood, I think it's Resonant Arc is doing a really cool retrospective kind of analysis of Final Fantasy Tactics that I've been watching, if you're looking for more tactical stuff to check out. And real quick note, so the whole reason I'm doing this is because the demo came out, of course, which means you probably are aware that there was a direct that came out. So in that direct, they showed Chrono Cross remaster, which was rumored with the NVIDIA links. If you're not familiar, last year somebody was able to hack into that and found some release dates of some at that time unannounced, not even rumored games like Chrono Cross Remaster, Final Fantasy IX Remaster, ooh, and Tactics Remaster or Remake. So the fact that Chrono Cross has actually gotten announced obviously lends a lot of credence. There's also been to Final Fantasy Tactics Remake or Remaster. And there's also been, just a few days ago, some new Tactics figures announced and put up for pre-order. So that combined with, there was an interview a few weeks ago or a month or two ago with your boy Sakaguchi talking about the person he's most interested in what they're working on right now is Yasumi Matsuno, our director, our writer of Tactics, is working on something. So there's very good hope. My one reservation is that look at the font on that Chrono Cross and look at the font on that Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters. So if they just use a shitty port of the mobile version with some shitty font, I'm not going to be happy. I want either a full kind of nicely done port of War of the Lions from the PSP, but, you know, HD or whatever on Switch, or like a whole new thing, like Tactics 2 or something crazy like that. So anyway, those are just my theories. I thought I'd throw them in because that's the other thing I have not been able to stop thinking about. So, rate, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Patreon if you want to. You don't have to. It's fine. No one else does. But keep an eye out. I'll be putting up that review for the full game very soon. Thank you. Mwah. I can't get out of the chair.